Hey guys, Mr. Bear Arms ICT here. Today I'm doing another 1,000 round review, and this one is of the Palmetto State Armory's Dagger in 9mm. So let's recap the first two reviews that I've done. The very first one was about 3 years ago. I borrowed one from a friend, brother-in-law actually, and shot his. It ate everything that I threw at it, but one of the trigger pins walked within 200 rounds, so much so that I actually stopped shooting it and he sent it back to get it fixed. And that one was retested with another 200 plus rounds, and we had no issues after the return. The second review was about a year ago. This one I personally purchased, and I've actually put 1,000 rounds through this specific one. And again, it was because I had a recommendation from a gun buddy who said if you wanted a cheap Glock clone, this is the one to get. I did not have any trigger pins walk on this one, and it ran again with every ammo and with every mag combo that I could find that I had. Part of the 1,000 round testing for this particular gun was that, again, my brother-in-law had a long slide for the Dagger, and I wanted to test it. And my main question was, if I had the longer slide, would I reduce the felt recoil, or could I manage the recoil better? I didn't really think so, since the length of the long slide was not that much more than the short slide. So I did this test with 124 grain SMB ammo, 9mm ammo. I shot the short slide first and then the long slide, and let's see if there is a noticeable difference. Well, there you have it. From what I could tell from this one shot, two shots, one of the long slide, one with the short slide, the longer slide did have less recoil than the short slide. This is in no wise a scientific evaluation of it, but I figured it was kind of cool to see side by side which one actually had less recoil. So after 1,000 rounds, 2 different slides, 3 different daggers, what's the end result here? Well, it's a cheap Glock 19 clone. The slide is very loose fitting. Sometimes I have trouble getting this slide back onto the frame when I was swapping out the long and short slides doing this test. And the trigger guard just seems to be a little too small for my liking. It keeps the bottom of the trigger guard keeps rubbing on my finger, and it just not that I couldn't readjust the trigger finger to shoot a little differently. It's just that's where naturally it went, and it just kind of didn't feel good when after a long period of shooting. Other than that very first one that the trigger pin walked on, I had no other problems with these guns. And like I said, the one that had its trigger pin walked was sent back into PSA. They did fix it and send it back. And since then, we've had no issues. Every time I pulled the trigger, a round went down range. There's no denying that with 1,000 rounds down the barrels, that this is not I would say, a decently reliable gun. And it used all the Glock mags that I had. I even purchased, was it a Min 2? There's this last go-around of mag purchases, and it had no problems with that. I mainly stuck with the Glock 17 mags, as that is what I have the most of, but it shot the Glock 19 mags just as well. Personally, I think it's just a little too big for me. Every time I pick it up, my first thought is always, man, this just is big in my hands, and it feels clunky. So I don't really care for that, but other than that, it's a well-rounded, reliable gun. So would I recommend this gun? Depends. If you need a cheap gun that takes cheap mags and cheap ammo, this is your ticket. I have yet to test a cheaper gun that is just as reliable in terms of going bang every time I pull the trigger. If you can afford better than this, then no, I would not recommend this for a PDW or personal defense weapon or concealed carry or anything like that. I would go with something better. I still don't quite trust it with myself carrying it, but it would be something that I would carry in a pinch, in a backup. What about as a plinker? Would I recommend this as a plinker? Sure, why not? I mean, especially if you've got Glock mags aplenty, there's no reason why you can't. Well, at least Glock 19 mags anyway. There's no reason you can't take this to the range, shoot a couple of thousand rounds through it, and just have a little plinker. It kicks like a compact, so it might not be as fun to shoot as something like a full size, but it would work for a plinker. Do you guys have one? Have you shot it? How many rounds have you put through it? Have you done any more torture tests? I don't have the facilities to do something like that, but what have your results been with the Palmetto State Dagger?